Wisconsin partner. Yeah. All right. So welcome, Facts Over Feelings, Facts Over Feelings. This is your co-host Jordan Roman today. Somewhat flying solo. Our co-host Dorian Alden is not here today. Where he's in the background doing some stuff on the technical production side. But we're happy that you guys are here. We're going to have a very good conversation around our series that we're doing. Today, we're going to be talking all things criminal justice reform, stuff that's happening in the community, Department of Community Wellness and Safety. We have some representatives here from the Wisconsin Pardon Information. Yep, that place. Sorry for screwing that up. And then we have we have Mr. Doyle Sprewer from the Pardon Informational. And then we have Shannon Ross in from The Community, which we'll get into a little bit later. So thank you guys for being here. And I guess we'll get started. So
I'm Artavia.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. So I really just wanted to thank you guys both for being here today. We've been going, I guess this is like my almost a month and a half in as being a co-host here. And we talk a lot of social political issues here, right? We want to make sure that the community is informed about a wide spread of any information and topics that we talk through. And it's important to us that we have people in the community who are experts in these fields to come and talk about their expertise in these areas, so that we're not just giving our facts. So we like to come from facts over feelings as usual. But having the people in the community who are actually doing the work is important to us. So we're going to start. Shannon, why don't you introduce yourself? Shannon and I go way back. We actually used to live up the street from each other, like literally down the block from each other back in the day. So it's good to see his journey and his story and where he's coming, where he's going. From my opinion, doing a lot of great stuff in the community. So I'm excited to have you here. And yeah, tell us a little about your journey and about what's going on with you.
And grateful to be here. Grateful it's right downstairs from where our office is, so that that works out as well. Go back to the bus stop.
Oh, yeah. Yep. What was that? 47th
our bus stop crew with Manny and Jolie and all that.
Yeah.
The organization that I founded is called The Community. I have to specify that's the actual name of the organization, not just like the general community. And the work we do is premised on helping individuals who are incarcerated become as prepared as possible prior to release, or even if they're not getting released, just to change the environment inside. Because 95% of people are coming home. Mm-hmm. Who do we want them to be when they come home? What's the environment they're going to be in before they come home? And then the other side of our work is correcting the narrative to address the way people that have a record are viewed in society. Everything in this issue comes from the narrative, comes from the way that we are viewed, and then the policies and the landlord decisions, the employee decisions, insurance and so forth is based on that narrative. So we try to address that foundational part to create greater public safety through better policies to address this very real issue.
No, that's dope. So I get into some issues. So I have a few questions that I kind of want to ask you. And then I really do want to get around. I don't necessarily call it the controversy, what's happened, but some would call it controversy on what's happening with the OCWS. I know you have had some public feuds with some other public figures in the city. But you stand on I know where you come from, your point of view. And I think it's fair, and I think that is, appropriate for us to have you explain yourself anyway. But one of the first questions I have around what the city's prevention office is, overall with everything that's going on, what do you think the message is being sent for the city of Milwaukee when people like that are pushed out of leadership?
Yeah. And you mean people like that, like people that have a record or people?
Yes, people
Okay,
that
gotcha.
have record. Yeah.
I guess before I answer that, I probably could do a little bit better to give an introduction to myself. I kind of
Okay.
just talked to the
Okay.
organization. So yeah, I mean, like clearly from the connection, born and raised in Milwaukee, 17-year absence, you could call it, from a time that I spent in prison from the age of 19 to 36. While I was inside, I got my bachelor's degree in business administration. As I commonly tell people, that's the most useless degree you can possibly get. So if you're going to get a business degree, get something more like specific in finance. But I was able to then fortunately have an opportunity to turn that into a graduate degree when I got out from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and then just kept growing the organization. I have a 4-year-old son now, and with another, classmate of ours.
Oh yeah,
all
and
met in
that's
6th grade. Yeah,
little
Lachey.
cubby.
Yep. So, and then just I'm also a consultant at Marquette University for their higher education and prison program. So, and then I travel the world doing this work. I just came back from Chile and Argentina last month. So, like, just a wide variety, I think, of experiences and feedback and insight I've been able to acquire while I was inside in the 5.5 years that I've been home doing this work. And so when the issue came up with Adam getting that position, it's been a variety of a lot of controversy in the beginning and then a lot of controversy after, right? So it's been like this whirlwind in the 5 months that Adam had that role. I wouldn't say I've had any public feuds. I'd say there's one specific individual that seems to like talking about me on the radio, but otherwise, I don't really have anyone that I necessarily have had a public feud with. And so, but my disagreement has been on it, and I guess to your point in the conversation, I think when we push people out of jobs like this, it's twofold. It's one, it sends a message to so many people that have a record that they can't go beyond a certain point. Like society is not going to accept them. Society is going to keep them at a certain level. Meanwhile, you have so many folks that have come home and that have really changed their life and have so much value to offer society. And to me, it's not about second chances. We talk about like Adam deserves a second chance. It's more than that. It's about the value he and other people have to bring to help society, that we are saying we invest billions in the system, but we're not going to benefit from the value that sometimes results from the system. Mm-hmm. What sense does that make, right? Like, you invest all this money. Why would you not want to have people who have really gone through the process of redemption and change and introspection to come home and be of value and just say, nope, you can just work at a factory. You can just do construction, or you can go this far, but we don't want you at this next level. And a lot of states don't do that. Like, we have this law here that's ridiculous. And why are we harming ourselves by not getting the greatest value from folks that have records? Like, that's been the premise to that question, what I think it shows and what we miss as a society when we engage in that type of policy.
So for people who don't know, can you add a little context and color to the decision for him to have gotten that role in the first place? I know the way I understand it, there were 4 other candidates who interviewed publicly for the role. I guess they had a candidate, but then at the last minute, the mayor decided otherwise to go with Mr. Purcell because of, I assume, his background and things like that he's done in the community. So
I'm happy to speak to it more. So what's interesting is that there's been a lot of stories and conspiracies of like mayor was putting his friend in there, or like Adam had something on the mayor. They don't kick it. They don't talk. Like, this is not a situation where they hang out. Like, Adam has literally like 2 people in his life. He's a very, very close-knit person in the way I operate. So that was never a thing. That was always funny when that came up. It genuinely was a matter of the mayor had been working with Adam and see him in his work at Partners in Hope down on the east side, and just really had a great respect for the way he did things. And Adam has a lot of interactions and respect from law enforcement. So I don't fully know why Chevy made the decision, right? I can't say that, but I do know that it was from a place of genuinely seeing the work Adam had done and the person he is and the respect he had in the community. Now, there were 3 people that were selected for a final decision after a 4-month national process. The mayor was not content with the final 2 because he did offer the job to someone. That person wanted too much money. So the other 2 people, I guess the mayor was not content with. So that's what made him say, let me see who else we have. And the decision was, let's offer it to Adam. And again, like I myself have always been curious why Chevy did that, because that was not a politically safe decision to make, especially the background he already had and what I've come to learn about the tug of war with the Common Council
Mhm.
And the way it was done was like a direct, like hit to the Common Council and their power structure. As a nonprofit, founder, it's kind of similar to a board and an ED,
Yep.
the way it's operating. So I get it from the Chevy side. I get it from the Common Council side. So yeah, like that's how we got to this point. That's why the decision was made, from my understanding, without a deeper conversation or even insight about why, if there's something else Chevy was thinking in the decision.
Okay. Yeah, it was confusing to me too. I haven't got really real clarity on why the decision was made or what happened. And then on the other side, like I understand the technicality part around the decision to remove him or for him to resign, and all those different situations. So
Yeah,
but it does leave. Obviously, it creates contention for different sides of the spectrum, but it does leave a sour taste in the mouth of a lot of people who are just looking at it from a bird's eye view and not really understanding what's going on.
yeah.
And the turnover in that role is, we've turned that role over what 3 or 4 times in the last 5 or
I think
6
this will be the
years.
fifth.
Good time. So yeah. So
May I ask the people that were in the role previously, have they been?
Reggie was the first.
Yeah, Reggie Moore.
Then
Had
it
they
was-
been
Reggie
in the
left to go
system?
to. No,
Yeah,
no one
CW.
else had. No,
okay?
no one
Because
else
that
had
could be a
yeah.
no one else
that could
had
be a
custody.
reason too. Hey, somebody that actually is passionate.
Right.
about
Yeah. Like there's, so to go through a couple of the layers here, right? Because like there's so many, and like I've been Adam's biggest champion, I think, on Facebook and social media. And the reason I do that, I know when it first happened, I even had a DOC, second in charge of the DOC, texted me. It was like, hey, like be careful what you text people. It stays forever. I'm like, yeah, I know very well what I'm doing. I do this a lot. Like I don't dive into emotional conversations. I just make facts and like I ask questions. But if you on social media, yes, a lot of people are on there just to gaslight, just to like kick up stuff. They're not looking for actual conversation. But at the same time, when people are posting or they're making comments that are they're misinformed, if no one can test that misinformed statement, it grows and other people start to believe it. And so someone has to come in and check it and stop and contest it so other people see, okay, because people follow for their opinions. They don't really have opinions a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
So like if no one else is providing a counter opinion, that opinion is going to prevail. So somebody has to come in and say, let's think about this. Have you thought about this? Like a lot of us don't agree that this is a bad decision. And in the CVI space where Adam was, kind of overseeing in a sense, he doesn't oversee MCW and the county also have a lot of projects they do solo. But in his role, a lot of people felt like he didn't have government background, right?
Mhm.
And he had never managed the budget that large. There's a nuance there. At a certain level, you can very much go from one thing to another if you have a certain structure of being organized, of being very manageable in the way that you handle situations and problems, very calm. And it's the skill sets that Adam has that were very, very suitable for that. And what a lot of people don't so much know, but is getting more traction, David Muhammad just shouted it out actually on a call. Adam did a fantastic job in that role. You will not find one person that actually worked with him in the CVI space that didn't think he was, people were saying when he left, we don't know what's going to happen with this thing that you like were working and you kind of helped out. It doesn't mean he solved crime, right? Like that. We don't attribute Adam to solving the crime or causing the crime to go down. That's a collective effort that was happening before Adam started. But there are things he did very, very well because he's not in that space.
Yeah.
And in that space, there's a lot of to be I don't want to like be in a way where I'm saying some stuff that would kind of be a problem. But you have a lot of folks that are impacted, that are carrying trauma, also in a position to solve a problem. They carry that with them. And sometimes they bring that same trauma into solving the problem.
Yeah.
You can see what that causes a lot of times, right? Adam wasn't of that world. He didn't have these beefs. He didn't have these disagreements. People were able to like reset in a way and say, he's not going to come in and carry this issue so we can start a little fresh here. And so like some of that was really helpful for him to be in that role.
So like coming in with a clean slate, not having the biases and having to deal with the relationships in there. You kind of look at things
politically, he got away with some stuff that nobody else would. Because he also was like, we gonna give you a pass on that because no other political astute person would do that. But you don't know none. So we'll give you so there were times where his ignorance also helped to kind of get things like, so that would happen as well.
So let me ask you this question. And I don't want to keep talking about this to put a pin in it because, it is what it is, and we have no control over it either way. But in a position like that, it's kind of a twofold question. What do you think is necessary for that role to be successful? And then what kind of leader do you think we have now that we are in the process of hiring someone else for that role? What do you think, from your estimation and your experience, is some of the qualities that we look for in one of those candidates?
Yeah,
and what is needed from that role and the impact in the city?
So But before Adam went in, without even really having been in the space, like one of my good friends, Todd Jones, is very involved in the Advanced Peace Project, which is another one that county has. And I've always had a good relationship with David and Reggie. So like I was proximate. A number of other formerly incarcerated people, James Price, Amir, like I knew the space because I have a lot of friends that are in that work. And we've done youth programming with some of them as mentors. And so I had a good sense of like what needed to be in that space. And that's all I always felt. And a lot of us felt confident that Adam could do that. So going to the next role, Karen is wonderful, right? Like I have never had a bad interaction with Karen. She's always been very willing to jump in and do whatever's necessary whenever I've had a question or like we've had a project. So her being given the chance to have this role is great.
Did they formally announce her that
well,
role, or
that's current. Like tomorrow
runner?
Tomorrow's the forum for her. The council has to confirm her.
Okay.
So Chevy has chosen her.
So he has,
and so now like that part of the process is tomorrow, and I'm going to go there, and I'm going to in support. But the thing that Karen is going to have to, and anybody in that role navigate, is the opinions and the disagreements and the personalities that are very strong in this space, in which a lot of people in the public have an opinion and a lot of people in politics have an opinion, but not everyone's always having the same outcome they're looking for.
Yeah.
Right. And so she's got to navigate a lot of that in that space. And that takes a lot of just emotional discipline, because you can get pulled into a lot of different places when that happens. You don't have to really be an expert in crime prevention, because it's not really that. You have to be able to be in a place where you can be a solid mediator and negotiator and like presence of respect. And so like that's the thing that Karen's gonna have to work through, and not, when I say work her through, like work through that whole experience. And she said she was the interim, right? So she knows it. This is nothing like new. I'm just saying that's the stuff that job is gonna require.
Okay. You got a question? I got it. So we talk a lot about recidivism, right? And from your experience, what actually keeps people from going back into the system? What kind of support systems, job, housing? Like, what are your thoughts on, how do we improve that process?
Yeah. So there's two different parts of that question, and I hate to make things complicated in my answers. A lot of just things are never as simple as we want them to be. But one is that housing first is always one that I feel like if you're looking for an actual resource answer, I say once a person has a house, the other things are more readily going to be able to put in place, right? So without that one thing, everything else is more difficult. So creating a scaffold, like housing, then a job, but then programming is like for your mental and emotional stability is very important too. So those are all the things that a lot of organizations try to provide support for. But more than that, and this is the area where we find ourselves really trying to be a value add in this overall ecosystem for people inside and coming home, is this self-concept, the self-awareness, the narrative. So if I just speak from my own story, for example, coming home, and I compare it to a lot of other people who have expressed the same thing to me in their observations and questions, is when I was inside, it was never an element of, can I make it to the next day? A lot of people are just trying to make it to the next day. They don't believe that they have value. The system and the people inside treat them in a way that makes them feel like there's nothing for them on the other side, that they're going to come back, that it's just like a hamster wheel of being in the system. And so for whatever reason, I was able to see at that 17-year gate, and I was like, what is that going to be like for me? How can I start preparing for that? How can I start working on things to get there? And the organization I run was started 6 years before I came home, right? It was just this newsletter. And now we have like a team of 10, we have national recognition. Like it's a whole thing that's grown out from that, from a vision. And that comes from a narrative. It comes from a place of me telling myself, I believe I can do something, or I know I can do something. Small wins leading to bigger wins, leading to like where we are now. And also not letting anybody else devalue me because I have caused harm or I've made a mistake.
Right.
Because one of the most human things you can do is make a mistake and cause, like, who doesn't have shame? Who hasn't carried that in some capacity? So how we hold space for that in ourselves and how we use that to create momentum, to create change, is a huge difference versus it being a heaviness that causes you to go nowhere and just like not be able to take advantage of opportunities and help people. Like for me, the narrative is the most important thing beyond just the resources that folks need when they come home.
So narrative. So I look at that and I say it's a combination of the narrative, AKA for me, when I look at it, personal responsibility and, the values that you want to do better and succeed. And then the other one is public policy, right? The resources, house investment, how government or municipalities are helping support that population re-enter and get into. So do you think that the city of Milwaukee specifically does a good job in that area? I know we have nonprofit resources, governmental resources that do that, but overall, do you think that there is intentional investment in that space that helps? Because when I look at it, the numbers, and I don't really know the numbers, but the numbers don't appear to be dramatically decreasing, right?
Yeah.
So like, what do you think around, the intentionality around specifically sitting in Milwaukee in that space?
The city doesn't greatly invest in a lot of reentry stuff. They invest in violence prevention,
Mhm.
which is great. Like I just told the group the other day, I said, in the ecosystem of like criminal legal system work, education and prevention is more important. Like,
Mhm.
if I'm giving somebody else that acknowledgement that your work is genuinely more valuable, because if we stop it on that end, the people coming home end is not necessary as much, right? So like I'm just trying to hold up that side of the house that I'm on, but that work to me is where the key, element is. And so the county and the city, they invest in that. Reentry, housing, there's been some things lately with this MacArthur grant going on. The state does not really invest in it at all. We are what I call a backwater of criminal legal reform in the entire country. All we do is add more punishments, more crimes, and like more bad bills instead of actually positive things that can help. States across the country are doing way different things, way better things. And so that's just kind of where we are, unfortunately. But when it comes to like the genuine investments that are possible, yeah, the government can make a whole lot of investments in people coming home to be prepared better and a greater, what I call infrastructure.
Mhm.
And I think that's the thing that's missing a lot of times is that we have a lot of organizations doing really important work, right? Very sincere people giving their whole career to this space that probably isn't ever going to pay them as much because this is how, the money is. But all of that is really difficult when you have these gaps in between. This person's getting help here and they have to go over here and they have to find that thing there. The infrastructure on making that smoother and making so they're all communicating and they have like the best interest of the individual instead of just scattershot. We just do this, right?
Yeah.
You got to go get potatoes, go over there.
Yeah.
You got to get milk. Like there's no grocery store element for reentry in a sense, right? You go into 19 different places for things. So like that infrastructure and that collaborative aspect, that's the thing that I think the government can really help with in incentivizing.
So that's on a local level. Then what about statewide and from the legislatures? Like what support is needed there that you've seen there? Are some of the legislators on board with some of the work that you're doing? How is that relationship? I know you've grown internationally and done different things, but on the statewide, how is that looking for you?
Statewide, as I was saying, we are a mess. Like we just are consistently disappointing in getting actually policy passed and legislation passed in a good way. Doyle will talk about pardons. Pardon is one area where the governor that's complete on his own ability to change the way that operates. Walker had no pardons. Evers has done more than any governor in history, right? And so like even with that, he has the ability to allow more people to get pardons just on his own, whatever governor's in office. But beyond that, there's expungement legislation, which Evan Koike tried for 5 years with various other people to get passed. We just cannot get across the finish line. There's our sentencing structure. There's so many things that just are really backwards in the way that we operate as a system to not help people. And they harm the community as a result. So, we have an event at the Capitol, the Day of Empathy next week, the 24th. Numerous organizations across the country and locally, Dream.org puts it on. And like we're going to be at the Capitol talking to legislators and like having trainings in the morning about how to share your story. So we're trying. We're definitely up there. We have our coalition we just started of impacted people. Yeah. So yeah, it just has not been much success in a long time on that issue, unfortunately.
Okay, so you mentioned pardons, and it's a good point to transition over to Doyle and his role, what you guys are doing over there. And I don't know, do we have any questions in the feed? We can get back to them if we do.
I have one question. Okay. What would you tell young men in Milwaukee that feel like the system is against them, against them?
So when you're saying, because I hear that a lot of times from like youth, and people are saying, "What can I tell my son or my nephew who's on the wrong path?" But it sounds like that's a different question you have than that one.
No, same.
So for that one, I have a not great answer a lot of times because for my own story and a lot of people, I went into 19. A lot of my friends went into 15, 14, 16. At a certain point, you can't say anything. And at a certain point, a person needs some kind of an experience to get them out of it. And so you can either have a way that's healthy separation, to send them somewhere, get them out the country, like some version of where they need to still be out of this environment because they're not going to, you can't learn to swim in a hurricane. You have to be able to get away from it to get a reset. And like at a certain point, it's nothing you can say. You got to be talking as soon as you can in people's lives and show them opportunities before that time comes, unfortunately.
So can I expound on that just really quick? Because, I know your story. I know your background. Like we grew up in the same block, basically. Like that question to me is like very centered towards people who grew up in that environment and didn't have those resources and stuff. But for your story is a little bit different. Actually, it's a lot different, right? You come from a stable home and middle class neighborhood, and obviously you made a mistake and had to deal with the consequences of that. But how do the dichotomy there? Like, can you just talk a little bit around what that population can do, or what's the messages for people like in your situation where you didn't come from necessarily that environment?
Yeah.
Right.
So what I hear is you're saying like people that find their way into the system that still didn't have the traditional trajectory to find their way there.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people actually that have a similar story to me that find their way inside. Oftentimes, therefore, OWI cases a lot of times because these are people who like just have an alcohol issue, or they just whatever, got drunk one night and drove, and it resulted in a loss of life. But there's this element around the culture we live in. It's a very violent culture that is, right? And if you don't have, I didn't have any siblings. My parents were, as loving as they were not very confrontational about my certain decisions I was making to kind of verge towards a different life. And, it's kind of like disrespect Shannon. And, Shannon was getting a lot of his miseducation of manhood from the Locks and DMX, right? And then I'm also biracial. I've been called white my whole life, right? So like
dealing with a lot of other issues.
So like when, a lot of things when we were in high school getting made fun of, like a chip on my shoulder came and I was like, I'm not going to take this anymore. And so like good qualities that I have were applied in a very negative way because of a lack of moral education and discipline. And so that is kind of where the waywardness came for me. And there's a lot of folks like that. A lot of folks are following the culture. They're pulled into the culture. They want to be a part of it. Whatever the culture is that's not healthy, then that takes them down a path where as much potential as I had at one point, potential is irrelevant in the face of peer pressure and wanting to be accepted, right? And so like those things kind of collided, especially youthful, like, arrogance and just this desire to be seen and tell yourself you are a certain way. I'm tough, like all of that just kicks in, right? And so that was a big part of, if not the full reason for why my path went, completely off the rails when it didn't make any sense that it needed to go that way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Cause I'm like looking at Shannon one day.
That was, people were like, you got framed. I'm like, I
we
didn't
were
get framed.
Throwing eggs at the police car. Okay. So I'm transitioning.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So Doyle.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we need to get to know you first. So for those who don't know, what is your role with the Wisconsin Department of Corrections?
Good evening. I am the chaplain from the Milwaukee Department.
The Pardon Informational Institute.
I thought you worked there though.
It's okay.
You can't?
Yeah.
Oh,
just
okay. They got top secret stuff going on.
No, you want to be careful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, so listen.
I thought we checked out. What's going on?
No, so really, I'm here to talk about the Wisconsin Pardon Informational Session. So
okay, the pardons.
We have
Okay,
been doing
pardons.
this for,
different hat today.
of course, almost 6 years.
Okay.
We thank God for Governor Evers. I am a conservative in how I vote, but I vote for the people. What's going to make sense for the majority, not for myself. And so, when he first ran in 2018, he ran on a platform that he believed in second chances. So we know that the previous governor, Scott Walker, for whatever reason, he has that right as the governor to not do any pardons. I think he had over 15,500 some applications. He came in after Governor Doyle. And so, like I said, we thank God for Evers. I voted for him twice, and that's the reason, probably the main reason I voted for him. I had nothing against him. He's a great guy. He had reached out to me early on to, speak on this certain topic when it came to pardons. So since then, we've been helping a lot of people, not just here in Wisconsin, but people that used to live in Wisconsin that moved away. A lot of people that moved to Texas and Arizona, Georgia, big population there that reached out and found out that I was helping individuals with the pardon process. And unfortunately, a lot of people still don't know. I mean, it's not something that they advertise. Right?
Yeah.
So
Can I back it up a little?
yes, you can.
So what exactly is a pardon?
So a pardon is for individuals who committed a crime, a felony crime. The governor does not pardon misdemeanors. No governor pardons misdemeanors, and they do not pardon juvenile felonies. And so basically, once a person convicted for a felony, depending on what type of felony. The only one that you cannot receive a pardon for at this current time is registered sex offenders.
Mhm.
So that's one of the main eligibility requirements. And so I can talk about that. The 3 eligibility requirements, basically no registered sex offenders. You can't have any pending cases in any jurisdiction. That means federal, state. You can have a case pending in Mississippi. I done seen people have cases in Arizona. You can't have it anywhere in the country. And also you have to be 5 years removed from your discharge date from any criminal conviction. So I run into a few people, not a lot, that unfortunately committed a non-violent crime or crime, say 20 years ago, right?
Mhm.
So it's a 5-year window from the time DLC discharged you. But unfortunately, some people commit a new crime, which I mean a misdemeanor. So it could be misdemeanor and criminal misdemeanor, and they get time served. That bitch, they just went to court and got sentenced, and judge said, hey, you just owe us $100 fine. That restarts the 5-year window,
Oh, wow.
not the 20-year,
Okay.
which is unfortunate because I ran into some people that unfortunately, by the time they are eligible to apply, we would have a new governor.
Mhm.
Mm.
And that governor has jurisdiction to say we're not going to pardon anymore. You just
Wisconsin is one of the rare states that still allow the governor to say yes or no.
okay.
My prayer is after this work, this is just, you know, the tip of the iceberg, that somebody else carry on. You know, I just pass the baton and
Mhm.
the torch, you know what I mean? But the ultimate goal to me is that the legislative body come to a collective agreement, pass a law where the state decides that. Like Illinois, the governor don't decide who gets a partner.
Yeah.
They stamp it at the end. It's the legislative body that controls it. So it don't matter who's in office. Like on a federal level, like, so when a person has a federal crime, right? It doesn't matter who's president, because I heard him when Trump got it. Oh, Trump has no bearing on the pardon system. He can pardon who he wants to a certain extent.
On the federal level.
On the federal level, but the Department of Justice controls that narrative. And it says on the application, it doesn't matter who's, I'm just paraphrasing, it doesn't matter who's in office.
Yeah.
This pardon process will still go on. So the president can't come out and say, you know what, I don't want the pardon system. That's not happening. So Wisconsin is, like I said, one of the few states that the governor, we saw that was Scott Walker, which is kind of hypocritical, right, to me, because he's a pastor's son and he ran on that platform.
Mhm.
So that means you got forgiveness in your heart somewhere. But I understood, right? He had another mission going on, right?
Mhm. Well, he wanted to run for president.
He was running for president, so he had to, you know, he was tough on, that crime. But I let the courts handle that. But that makes no sense. You have the power to do that. We're not saying you to cheat the system. And he got rid of unions, right? And so I don't want to get too deep in that. But the thing is, that's his given right as the governor.
Right.
That's why it's important to know who you're voting for and why you're voting. Just don't be voting because, oh, it's a Democrat or Republican. That makes no sense at all, right? You need to vote who's going to best represent you.
Yeah.
Or the mass. And that's why I voted for Evers, because of the pardon thing.
Okay. So you mentioned, at least in the state of Wisconsin, there needs to be legislative action. Are there any bills that have been talked about that you're aware of that are in the pipeline to help support that goal to do that? Or is it just something that we need to do as a state to think about that?
Only on the expungement level.
Okay.
It did pass the Assembly, they kind of tweaked the bill a little bit.
Mhm.
So expungement is a little bit different. That's basically saying at the time of sentencing, you was 23, 25, I think now. Used to be 21. If the sentencing judge at the time deemed you were worthy for expungement, right? And he gave you deferred, or he or she gave you deferred sentence, right? And so long as you didn't do any probation or jail time, and at the time of sentencing, for those at that age grade, anybody like 25, 23, I know code, but is that age grade?
25.
25, right? Because it used to be lower than that, but they kind of raised it. He or she could say, well, you know what? If you complete the conditions of your court, you come back, you can petition for expungement. So all expungement does is really hide it. Okay. So you still are convicted. Where a pardon, it restores all your rights. So now you're able to vote. Now you're ready to run for office, right? Yeah. Now you're able to, bear right to bear arms. You know what I mean? So those are the 3 most important things I run into. But that's not the main thing. A lot of people want pardons just like for housing or for jobs. You know what I mean? Rarely I get somebody talking about guns. I don't even let them talk about guns, because that should be far removed from your vocabulary. You should be thinking about how can you get this pardon so you can better your life financially.
Okay.
So what does the board look for when reviewing applications?
It's a great question. The board, and they vary bipartisan. I mean, it's conservatives and liberals on the board. They
You got a formerly
Seven.
incarcerated person on there.
Huh?
You got a even formerly incarcerated person on the
Yeah.
board.
So he got a partner in 2021. You know, a diverse population from former judges, former police chiefs. Of course, attorneys from the governor's office are always going to be the chair. So basically, looking for is time, like what you've been doing since your conviction.
Mhm.
So that's why you have the 5-year gap that a lot of people don't understand. But a lot of states have that now, where they want to see the growth, because we notice people that either work in the Department of Corrections or people that I know work in the Department of Corrections notice that people do reoffend, right? And
Mhm.
so that wouldn't look right if somebody got a pardon and they just got, you know what I mean? That wouldn't, it would kill the whole program. But it does happen in other states. We have no control over that. And so, but they're looking for time and what you've been doing in the community. So I tell people when I meet with them, I'm here every Saturday at Sherman Phoenix from 12 to 2, you know, talking about what's your life, because your life is going to sell whether you're going to get a pardon or not. What you've been doing,
Mhm.
you know, staying out the way, not having police contact, you know what I mean? Work and taking care of your family, volunteering, whether it's your church, community, mosque, whatever the case may be, and just being a model citizen.
Right.
But they're looking for, and you know, older cases. It makes sense. Somebody 20, 15 years ago that maybe had a marijuana case, you know what I mean? Or, you know, a drug possession case, crack cocaine, right? But that's all they have. Now this person is, you know, I ran into people with law degrees, MBAs, all kind of degrees that just made mistakes. And they just want, you know, to remove that barrier so they can move up in their career.
So do you have to apply for that, or is there like a pipeline? Do they have a list of
No.
that? Or you have to. So
You got to apply.
you
'Cause I
apply
heard
for
last week at an event. So I partner with, thank God, G's Clippers. Shout out to G's Clippers. He's
Shout
one
out
of the
G.
first. My buddy Marty on the South Side, Pastor Marty, used to be with guys. Well, Think Touch. He was like the first person that like, hey man, I want you come on the South Side.
Okay.
And it was beautiful because nobody spoke English but about 2 of us. And the beautiful thing is some of them people got pardons, right? So that's just how, you know, God works. And so, I mean, I think with this process, people need to understand you need to be real with yourself that you change.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing I look for. And I tell people all the time, I can read you. If you haven't changed, if I can pick it up, then y'all as the pardon board members are going to pick it up.
right.
That's one of my questions. How important is accountability?
Accountability is number one. It had been people, white and black, that had been to the pardon board, this pardon board, with marijuana cases that I know. Because I watch the hearings every other Friday. But they've been kicking them. It used to be every second Friday of the month. But now they're doing like 2 and 3 sometimes. So thank God for Governor Evers on that. But accountability is number one. And so the 3 questions they asked at the pardon hearing, they got real nice. At the beginning, it was real tight. It was you had to go to Madison and they drilled the mess out you. So now they ask you, tell us what you've been doing since your last conviction, because some people have multiple convictions.
Yeah.
And he has pardoned people with multiple convictions. But that's case by case. Tell us about your case, what you're seeking a pardon for, then tell us why you want to pardon.
Mhm.
But the middle question is the most important, because you can nail the first one, and you can nail why you want to pardon. You can tell us why, but if you don't take any accountability for your actions, they're not re-sentencing you, they're not retrying you. They're just trying to see have you changed your mind.
Mhm.
So they ask you questions about it to see how you don't respond. They don't tell you how you should respond. They just, you know, kind of guide you, you know, if that makes sense. I ask you a question, but I'm not telling you how to respond.
Yeah.
You don't, it's not a setup. They trying to see if you're going to say, you know, I messed up.
Or, do you
Or
think
playing
they're-
victim?
are-
Or,
Or a victim.
are they
Never
looking
lie.
for remorse, or are they looking for just a true authenticity around like I've changed and like
They're looking for responsibility.
responsibility?
You know,
Okay.
I was
Okay.
wrong. I
Mhm.
pled guilty. I committed this crime, man. I was, you know, I'm not using I was from the 53206 area. My mama was a hoe. My daddy was a pimp. My daddy got shot in front of me when I was
Mhm.
12.
Yeah.
All my friends, you know, was selling dope. You know what I mean? I've been selling dope because I can't get a job. I'm giving y'all real life
Mhm.
scenarios that people give me, and I kill all that. You know what I mean? Because they're not looking for excuses. I always tell people, if it didn't work in court,
Yeah.
it's not going to work with the pardon board.
Yeah.
Because these people are former people that work in areas of life for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So they didn't heard everything under the sun, right? But accountability and responsibility is number one. And you'd be surprised how hard it is for people to take accountability. Man, I messed up.
Oh well, I'm not surprised at all. Like
You know what I mean?
we deal with people every day, and
Right.
every other has the responsibility for what? Like you acting a fool, and you.
Right.
so on top
yeah.
of that, what are common mistakes that cause applications to be denied or delayed?
Not coming to one of these pardon Wisconsin pardon informational sessions. Not seeking wisdom. Because the problem is people look at the application and think it's a regular application. Oh, I hear it all the time. Well, my daughter got a degree. My wife can do this. This is not a job application, bro. This is something I'm not agreeing with it, but I'm not knocking it. Hustle attorneys charge average $10,000.
Yeah.
To help you, they do fill it out, but you got to remember the pardon board want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to the attorney. So the common mistakes I see is people not being truthful.
Yeah.
They might have a misdemeanor and they don't list it. You know what I mean? They might have a restraining order. They haven't listed. They might have a case, which is question number 7, besides question 2 and 4, which 2 is tell us about your felony, which you're seeking pardon for. 4 is telling us about misdemeanors, federal offenses, or juvenile cases, right? 7 is not asking, was telling us about any time you was arrested, but you weren't convicted, or or the crime got expunged, or the judge, like I said, the DA dismissed it. Some people don't put that down. And if you don't put it down, because they asked that question, and if you don't put it down, and you say you might make it to the pardon board, they'll bring it up. They will ask you, well, why you didn't say that? We noticed back in 2015, you got X, Y, and Z. Because I watch every hearing, sometimes in real time, sometimes on my lunch break.
Yeah.
When I'm assuming I'm not working for DLC, right? So this is hypothetical. If I was, I'd be on my lunch break on my phone, right? But listen, that's the main thing. They're not being truthful, or they might just miss it. Might be just a common mistake. Some people don't know. So my job is to help them not get the application denied. That's all I do. I don't do anything special. We had help. I guess I can say it now because we had to kind of end of it because the governor is not seeking re-election. Tonight is his last State of the Union, right? And so thank God for Evers. Like I said, he did it what he needed to do. But when it comes to the application, especially people applying now, you can't have no mistakes.
Yeah.
The people 3 years ago could make a mistake. You get denied, you get 18 months, then you can reapply. Well, the people applying now don't have that because you don't have 18 months.
But that's why they need to come to you.
That's why
get to it.
Can I ask a question around the resourcing this? So at the Pardon Information Center, right? Am I saying that right?
Or Sessions.
Or Sessions. Yeah. So, and this might be a naive question though. So I'm kind of equating it as in like, in AODA treatment, they have like your 12 steps program and you have your mentors and stuff. Am I envisioning that's what that program is like? And then if it is what it is are the resources there, investment in scaling the informational to have more of those type of resources around to help these people guide them through the process?
That is a great question. I told somebody, I don't know if I told Tori and somebody I told, if I was in charge with the attorneys in charge or half, I'd probably be a millionaire, could retire from wherever I'm working at right now. Still be the chaplain of the Milwaukee Fire Department. But the resources is not there. But I thank God for the city of Milwaukee and the Office of African American Affairs under Melissa Buford doing a wonderful job, reached out to me. And I now have a contract with them for every second Saturday month. I'm with them from 10 to 12. They gave me an office. And they do, pay me, give me a check. We worked out a number that was more beneficial to everybody, right? So you assume people would have been invested into this, but unfortunately they haven't. Like I said, I thank God for G's Clippers because investment to me is you give me a space. Yeah. Because it's a cost to everything. Even when you go get the paperwork for your pardon, criminal complaint, judgment, conviction, information, that stuff costs at least $20-some. You know what I mean? It's going to cost you one way or the other. You got to pay something, right? And so unfortunately, my vision was, again, and hopefully the new government picking up that somebody would give a grant. Well, now we can sit down and help you fill out the application because it's a lot of work. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I don't agree, but I'm not knocking attorneys hustle that's charging almost $10,000 to help people. You got to remember that's for one felony. So if I got a weed case and you got 4 drug cases, cocaine cases, we're not getting charged the same because that don't even make any sense. Why would that guy get charged $10,000 for 4 felonies and I got 1 and I'm gonna get charged the same amount of money? But this is capitalism. It's just America. I'm not saying it's right, but it is the information that they get in the run of what you're getting the best information you get for free. The people who come to the events they don't have to pay a dime. Now, if you meet me one-on-one for my personal time, then that's different. I'm getting a cup of coffee. You're giving me something because now you want me to take some time that I don't have. I do so much in the community, and now I've invested in you. And so, like I said, to this date, now I can put numbers out, and anybody watch my Facebook or any social media, I don't put numbers out there. I think the number we had 420 people that we'd help directly receive a pardon within the last 6 years. And so,
how many of them received a pardon?
420.
420.
Oh, 420. Okay.
Yeah.
420 people. That's a lot. So you can't, if you find an attorney that does that much, I will give you my allegedly DLC check for the whole entire year, right? And, you know, yeah. But I'm just being honest because I really care. That's the difference. I'm not knocking nobody. I'm being careful what I'm saying. I really want people to get it.
Yeah.
I get up, you know, I find the people that deserve to get them, unfortunately, a lot of them can't even apply.
Yeah.
But you got guys that are able to get it and don't even make the effort.
Yeah, and that to me is like I'm trying to connect the dots between ex-offenders or whatever. Is that the correct terms?
I mean,
Sure.
the preferred language is like currently or formerly incarcerated.
Formerly-
That's a whole.
No, that's fine. Okay,
So-
formerly incarcerated. I want to make sure I'm right around it because I don't want
Yes.
to offend anybody. So connecting the dots around the formerly incarcerated, knowing and having access to those resources, I feel like there should be a bridge or some kind of bridge to help us get those resources in place so that people can take advantage of that.
Right.
Because what you don't see in a capitalist society and what's going on with ICE and everything, like they're building private jail centers and correctional facilities right now. So the intention is we're going to be putting more black and brown people in these facilities and for low level and you know, violent offenses. But there's a system at play here that is increasing the amount of people going into that system. And we need to figure out a way that we can either decrease that or find bridge access so that they have the resources to get around it. I don't hear enough about those conversations, or I don't hear the dots being connected in a way that is really substantial for this community. But tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
I don't want to get too
Yeah.
in depth in that, but you got to understand the genesis of incarceration.
Slavery, slave
America,
patrol,
capitalism.
Yeah.
It was not racist, and somebody can argue all they want.
I mean, I would argue
was-
that slavery is racist, though.
No, I'm talking about the business side of it. It was business,
Yeah, based on
supply and demand.
slavery,
You gotta
and
work
racist
every
slavery.
day, right?
Yeah,
You
but I hear
got
you.
a
I hear you.
job.
Yep, I hear you.
I'm talking about the core of it was capitalism.
Yep. Yeah.
You got a product. I need somebody to get that product.
Yeah.
Right. And so I need a work base to get that product.
Mm-hmm. At
You
no
look at
cost.
sports every day.
Yeah.
We say it ain't slavery because why they get $1 million check? What that mean? I could pay the slaves a little bit more. They still doing the same thing. It's a product. And so as you see the genesis of it, it's a business. And we know how everything revolves around capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been about money.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't need slaves, I don't need this product to get picked. I don't need the fruit or the sugar cane.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then what I need it for? You know what I mean? What I need is body or workforce. That's what it is, labor.
Yep.
I'm not saying, you know, racism always, but I'm saying the main core of it was money.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
You know,
the capitalist system we live in.
and
That's
just
how everything
and
operates.
so racism don't
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah.
picking cotton no more. I can get you any type of way now. You know what I mean? But just know, unfortunately, incarceration is what it is.
Yeah.
Without saying too much, it's I tell young people all the time when I ask to go speak to young people, and they kind of what you asked them earlier, right? What do you tell a young person? Don't get in trouble, because once you get in trouble,
then you
it's over. The guy last week, he couldn't fathom right about his mind because he just got off probation in December 2025, and he assumed he should be eligible for a pardon because his probation time was 5 years. I said, your probation time has nothing to do with the pardon system. You owe that to the court based on a crime you committed. But what do you think? I said, it don't matter what I think. I told you I'm empathize with you. I'm always going to side, but I also got to be realistic. I cannot be fake with this.
Right.
It's just you have to have a time frame. He said, I wish somebody would have told me back then when I was coming up, I would have never committed a crime if I knew what I knew now and all the after effects. So people don't look at what comes after.
Yeah.
They just look at, people I want my time. I don't want to go to jail. Well, we won't give you a felony, but if you just go to house correction 30 days, we give you a misdemeanor. No. I'd rather do probation and catch this felony. But they don't know that's going to attach to them for almost a lifetime sentence. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying, that young man, the conversation was deep, man. I'm like, this is really doing. He asked some real questions.
Yeah. And how many
I
people are
served my
asking those
time,
questions? Yeah.
And I had to be honest with him. I totally agree with you. I don't not disagree with you. I don't care where I work at. I'm still a man of God first. I'm accountable to God, not to allegedly DOC or to
Allegedly.
my allegiance to God. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm also got to we in this matrix, so I got to be respectful to the
Right.
system. You know what I mean? I got to give our young people the game.
And that's
Don't
what,
come on this side of the fence.
and that's what it
Ain't right,
is.
ain't right.
Yeah, like people have to understand, like this is a game.
Yep.
It's a system, and we have to be able to navigate the system, fair or not, right? And in our community, I think it's incumbent on us to make sure that those, especially those youth, understand the game from a
Right.
very young age. Because we talk about like economics and stuff a long time. Like these white folks understand the economics game, the capitalism game, right? Our community doesn't understand that it's a game and there's ways that you can navigate it, right? So it's the same thing with this system. Is like we have to get our youth and say, this is what it's going to be if you do this, and this is real things that could happen to you along the way. So I think that's a deficit that we're actually experiencing right now.
I have a question for you, Shannon, just regarding like mental health in prison. How impactful was that? Was there anything there? Because you said, I know you said something about music or something you kind of feel like influenced you to do some things. That had they ever asked you like, hey, why are you in here? What happened? What you coming from the background you came from?
I mean, they read your court records. That's all they need to know. They don't care beyond that of
Okay.
why you're there. So
But that would be an important from the actual,
no,
you know, young person.
So they do have what's called the Psychological Services Unit, PSU, and they have the ability at pretty much every facility. It depends on how it's staffed. Some places might have one, psychologist or a therapist. Some places have zero because they just can't staff it. Some places have several, and so depending on the facility, you will have a decent, non-existent, or a pretty good program or service, psychological services unit. Now, we're talking about, I was at a prison, for example, Stanley Correctional. Me and actually a friend of mine, Roy Rogers, are going back to speak. We actually met there, so it'll be a kind of an emotional thing. And they had 4 staff for a population of 1,500 people. And these are 1,500 people of folks that have the most mental health and ACE, adverse childhood experience scores you'll find, right? That's what prison is. Prison is, if anything else, it's the closet. You know how when you try to clean your room as a kid, you used to put everything under the bed in the closet. Like that's our version of cleaning things in society by putting it in the closet. And what's in that closet are people that have mental health issues, that have high ACE scores, right? That's by and large what it is. And that's always tied in with poverty. Like that is what we're doing. And you have this 1,500 population with 4 therapists. Like, what does that tell you? Like, and that was a good place that I saw that was really trying. The capacity just isn't there. And also, at what point can you help people who are struggling so much and every day they don't have the things around them in the environment and the way people are talking to them and the way that everyone else is on this conveyor belt of just trying to survive? Where's the promotion of health, and like where are you gonna, environment is king a lot of times. So like that to me was the key thing. It wasn't so much do they have services, they do, right? And even when they're great, the experience in the environment is still mentally terrible. Especially during COVID, it just got worse.
Yeah, that's it.
For you, are there any misconceptions that stop people from applying for pardons?
They don't think they eligible, or they don't think it's attainable. And I tell them it's a lie. I had an individual came to one of my sisters at G's Clippers a couple of years back, and his wife made him come, and he went to an attorney. He was gonna pay for the attorney. Attorney told him, man, you waste your time, and he ain't gonna pardon you. He ain't gonna pardon you. So he came to the event, and he was able to talk to me afterwards. I always do a Q&A, not a lot of people. I'm a people's person, so I'm gonna make sure everybody get their questions answered. And I said, and his wife was telling me, because he was kind of ashamed, the wife telling me the situation. I said, man, what you got? He said, man, I got a possession of crack cocaine, man, from 91. I said, man, 91? You how old? That's all you got? Yeah. And he told you that? I said, man, you one of the candidates that the government looking for.
Right.
Non-violent, no victim, no any money. So that's one of the criteria too, right? And so, but you haven't did anything else. You've been working, you're a family man, you're married. I said, man, I don't know who told you that, but man, he lied to you, brother. You're eligible to apply. And he just cried. Because he went, here we go. We thought this attorney, we think.
You think they're gonna help?
That's the most diabolical thing, man. Especially, I'm sorry, color folks, we think attorneys know everything. So they rather go to them to come to me. And I'm going to give them something out of love because I see it in real time every day.
Yeah. I
see it and I see the effects of it, right? But I also see the people who have benefit from getting pardoned, right? Now they got business. Some guys are sheriffs. Now some of them are MPD. Some are just correctional. They just doing. I'm just naming a few people, right? And so But that part they don't think is real. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because they don't see it. And that's the unfortunate thing. We don't see it on TV or hear about it. We don't think it's attainable. And I told him I said lie. So I try to tear that barrier down. I'm like almost Harriet Tubman Charter. You see what she said? I try to free 1,000 more slaves, but they didn't know they were slaves. So
And half of them didn't want to be free.
and half of them didn't want to be
Yeah.
free. And
Yeah.
I run those all the time. They don't. Some people don't want to be free.
Yeah.
And that felony is going to rear its ugly head one way or another. It might not come now, it might not come tomorrow, but it's going to hit.
As a community, how could we help you get the word out?
Just promote the events. Like I said, if this was a Marvel's movie, it's the end game now. I'm like Doctor Strange. Tony, it's the end right now.
Right.
'Cause we might have
Yeah, you got
Doctor-
there's one
Doctor
chance.
Doom might be coming. We don't know who's coming, right?
Shit.
And so just to get the word out, I got an event coming up this Saturday at G's Clippers at from 1:30 to 4. I'm here at Sherman Fingers every first Saturday of the month, and these are on my own dime. This is on my own time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The city just jumped on. God bless him. Like I said, I thank God for Melissa Buford and the mayor was instrumental.
Mhm.
Say, hey man, we need this, bro. I need this. And I said, let's make it happen. But I was gonna do it for free. They didn't know that. You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
God has blessed me, but you know what I mean?
Right.
I am a dad too, right?
Yeah. You're in a capitalist society.
I am, right? So Pastor
make a
Powell
living.
told me that, right? Don't let people confuse the two,
Yeah.
right? Shannon does great work nonprofit, but he still got
Right.
a family to
Yep,
feed,
got
right?
bills to pay and everything.
Yeah. So if just sharing a word and encouraging people to come out to these events and take it serious, like I said, because it's time consuming and this door is closing.
Yeah.
I gotta be transparent. It's going to close.
Yeah.
Now, whoever opens in January, that's for them to decide, but it's gonna be a whole new process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We was in church right now. So new Pharaoh did not know Joseph might be coming, right? So while the Pharaoh was alive, when they knew Joseph, the land prospered and the people prospered.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
a new Pharaoh is coming. He is she. And my prayer is that they continue it, you know what I mean, and look at people total body of work, you know what I mean? People who done committed crimes that might not be eligible, but you look at the total body case by case, right? And say, well, let's get this guy, a young lady, a man a chance. So
Yeah.
but just promote it.
One question as well. What do you think about the use of AI by people who maybe don't have access to somebody that can help them to get a better sense of what the process is, what's possible?
That is an excellent question. People, if you're listening to me, don't use AI. Don't use AI.
Uh-oh.
The reason being,
Can be
because
denied or
AI
delayed.
AI don't know the process.
Okay.
It can kind of give you a mold of it, right? But this is a personal process. If I got caught with a case, it's not going to tell you how to
Individual.
answer that question.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
question number 9 is, tell us about the case which you seeking a pardon for, or cases, right? And so I done seen people that have 5 felonies, but they answer one general answer. You cannot do that. You have to answer for each felony.
You do like a mock kind of.
I do a mock, yeah. So we
interviews,
go
yes.
literally through the whole. That was my initial thing. And attorneys reach out like, "Can we come? Can we come?" Now y'all can't come because I know what it is. It's vultures, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes
Oh, that's
sense.
not
Yeah.
Hey,
that
anybody
makes
want to? Come on, man.
sense. Capitalist
So you gotta
society.
protect
Yeah.
the community. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't know the stuff I've been through for this. I get attacked. Why you doing that? Why you doing it for free? Why you doing this for that? Why you doing that for that? Because I really love, or people just come up with all kind of lies.
Mhm.
Young lady, if you beautiful and got a felony, guess what? If you want one-on-one time, you pay my fee. I want my money. I'm a capitalist, right?
Right.
You keep whatever you think you. I'm sure I'm telling you. You hear that all the time. No, my mama got to pay. You got to pay. It ain't personal. And so, because this is business, and
Yeah.
but our people got to realize that it is important. I got Hispanic clients. I politicked on the South Side. My buddy Marty said, "Hey man, you need to get some over here. You got to get some over here because we got all my Latino brothers."
Right.
So I wasn't just thinking about people up the Avenue Hugh, which it was, but everybody got felonies. Wisconsin like more black people than any other state in the country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and brown people, and it's like nobody's doing nothing for them. I'm like, no, man, we got to do something for them too. And they would have an interpreter right there, and people been benefited from it over there. I would have never thought that. You know what I mean? I'm speaking about the application process. So what I do is I walk literally from question 1 all the way to
all the way
question
down.
11 to 18. I'm sorry. And if anybody got any questions, I won't let them leave until they get the answer.
That's dope. I think that program needs to be scaled, and we need to look to our people who are in control of these purses to figure out how do we intervene in those different things and provide the opportunity. Because you know, it's the first I'm hearing about a lot of this stuff too. You know, a lot of people need to hear this and need access to it, and I think the system fails us in this particular case too, because we were just talking about you go to people who you think have your best interests in mind, right? And you find out way too often that they don't, or they have ulterior motives around it. And your situation comes second or third to what they're trying to do, and that is not helping the community get to where we need to be. So I commend you for what you do and the work you guys are doing over there. And however we can help support that and spread the words, we'll definitely do that.
I have a couple ideas once you wrap up.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
But no, can you both give your information again, your events? And
then is there any questions on the chat? This conversation wasn't as heated as our usual conversation. So
I mean, if you want to get that, whoever you was going against in here, I can do that for you. Plug that. No,
yeah, they usually come in hot with questions when we be going. Yeah,
it'll turn up. No, it's not good. You want to?
Okay. Oh yeah. So contact information you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
So our website is I see Crystal put it in the actual chat on the show, the-community.org. And we're on like all the social medias near you, same name. So kind of connect with us. And we're at Sherman Phoenix. Got our office upstairs. So come here.
Yep.
So I'm at Sherman Phoenix every first Saturday of the month from 12 to 2. Every second Saturday of the month, I'm at the office of Milwaukee office, City of Milwaukee office of African American Affairs, which is on 4830 West Fond du Lac Avenue. I'm there from 10 to 12. And every third Saturday month, I'm at G's Clippers, 2200 block of North King Drive, from 1:30 to 4. And I also do private consultations. We have an office, once again, with the Office of African American Affairs in the City of Milwaukee. Those are based on appointments only. I do have a number. I'm kind of leery about giving it out right now because I'm going to get a flood of phone calls.
Doing Laura's work right now.
People that, God bless y'all. So I got a part number. If you have any questions or concerns, here we go. The eligibility first is you have to be 5 years removed from your discharge date, no sex offenders, and no pending cases. If you meet that criteria, please call me at 414-435-2649.
All right.
I could share Dora's number if you hit me up on the DM. So one thing I was going to say too before we go is I wanted to re-answer your question about the youth. I think the answer I gave was kind of like it was accurate, but also didn't really answer it. I think back to myself, especially the thing that youth go through so much is they feel like they're the first person ever to have to go through whatever they're going through. Like the more that we can emphasize for youth that there is not one single thing you are experiencing, that you are going through, that you will go through, nothing that millions of people throughout the history of our species have not gone through in some capacity, that like taking away the uniqueness you think your experience is gives you back an ability to say, okay, well, then there's a solution. There's somebody I can talk to. Like the more we can dig out that belief that I'm the only one that knows this thing and say, gotta talk, gotta ask questions, like go to people, like people want to help you all over the place.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you're going through that somebody can't help you with and hasn't navigated in some capacity.
That's good. Thank you.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Shannon Ross and Mr. Doyle Spruer.
Period.
Yeah, that was a great conversation. Thank you guys out in the world for checking in and joining us at Facts Over Feelings. We'll be back next week. And that's it. So, hi, Mom.
Drum roll. You got it, Doreen?
Mom Roman.
In the top corner.
Or native.
You got it.
Then,
all right. That was good. Thank
Yes.
you. Thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it.
I saw.
Appreciate it. Thank you.